religion in the news.
All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome. Rebel Religion in the News. Jerry O'Lennon, Alfredo Romero, Rock of Life Fellowship, and Pastor Tim Rule of Pleasant Valley Baptist Church. Hope you had a good Father's Day, did you?
Oh, yeah.
I had a great Father's Day. I actually had 3 of my 4 children at home, and that's big, but also 12 of my 16 grandchildren at home. So
wow.
I'm glad to be in a studio that's nice and quiet.
What a day. Yeah.
It was great. It was great.
Well, the news, let's get right to it. What's going on in the Middle East and how that, if at all, does it affect our lives as Christians? How should we be viewing what's going on here? Yeah. There's so many different things about it. Let's start off with Pastor Tim Rule. What's your take on what we've seen here with Israel attacking Iran to try to take out their nuke systems?
Correct.
I think a lot. I mean, is there any religious aspect to this, or is this just all politics and news of the day? Is there any way that religion creeps into this?
Well, it's all about that, honestly, between the Israelites and Iranians. And if you really just kind of look at it, listen to it, Israel is not against Iran. Iran is ran and operated by a mob group that even the Iranians don't like. And so this mob group that actually dwells within Iran now going after Israel. I mean, all the missiles, all the bombings, all this stuff. It'd be like Indiana saying Ohio just attacks us every single day. We got to do something about Ohio. Mm-hmm. So here you have Israel and Iran, and they're just saying we can't have someone next to us where this, I don't know if you want to call it a coup or overtake, the Ayatollah Khomeini, that they are operating within Iran, but they're horrible. And so you have a person next door that's making nuclear bombs.
Yeah.
I don't think you want to have that happen because they continually just harass you. And Israel said, I'm done.
I saw where President Trump said that he was asked whether or not he would approve an assassination of their supreme leader, Ayatollah. He said no, he would not. Is there anything biblically? I mean, that's against the Geneva Convention to assassinate another country's foreign leader. I believe that's against the Geneva Convention. And so he outright said he would not do that. Is there anything biblically to support that notion that a leader of another country, that God has said that could not be done in times of war? What are the ground rules? Forget what the Geneva Convention says. What does the Bible say about rules of war?
Well, the things I can say about the Bible, number one, Genesis 9:6, if a man takes a man's life, then his life should be taken. We call that capital punishment. We believe that in America for a long, long time. Mm-hmm. And we had a lot less crime and so forth. So the Bible does say that. Also says in the Bible that when they went to battle, they went after the kings. They knew if they could take the leader out, that they would do better. So if you put those two together, it's a battle. It's like saying, okay, you can have all my men, you can't have my big man. Mm-hmm. Well, Israel already has killed many of the commanders in chief of the Iranian army and intelligence and so forth. They know where they are. They've gone after them, and they have used airstrikes to kill those men. To put a particular assassination out on a person, the Bible doesn't really define that, but definitely gives us those scenarios where they went after the leaders, yes.
Does God approve of wars?
Oh, yes.
He does?
Yes.
An example in biblical times where God was like, well, I guess with King David.
King David and the Philistines, Joshua and the Amalekites.
I was just going to say Joshua, yes.
Yes. And because he realized these nations are ruthless nations and they hurt people. Mm-hmm. I mean, they said they tore up the wombs of the women. And so pretty bad. They put their babies in fires and things like that. So you have a lot of horrible lifestyles there. And God says, I don't want that. And so God would use a good army to defeat a bad people.
Yeah. We're speaking with Pastor Tim Rule of Pleasant Valley Baptist Church. Does God take sides on these things? He does, doesn't he? Of course he does. I mean, I think when you're looking at the United States in World War II, you got to think that he's pulling for us, isn't he?
Does God take sides? God takes the side of good, and God always goes against evil. Mm-hmm. So I guess we make our sides. If we're a good nation, then God is going to side with us. If we're a wicked nation, then God is going to discipline us.
Yeah, the word says, "Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord."
Yep.
How about Israel? Do you think God is on Israel's side, even though they do not believe in Jesus Christ being the Son of God?
Well, yeah, they have some doctrinal problems there, but Israel has always been God's favorite child. There's no doubt about that. And does God favor them? God definitely favors them, protects them. He wants them to do well. We're talking about a country of under 10 million people, yet they are a dominant power in our world today. It's not like a China or a Russia that has hundreds of millions, America, but 10 million people. That's amazing. But the reason they have so much stout about themselves is God's on their side.
Well, they're also very crafty. They're very smart. I mean, some of the when you read about what they did to plan this attack,
Oh, yeah.
and how they really deceived them and kind of got them with their pants down, it's sort of amazing how smart, how the kind of intelligence operatives that they have working for them. I'm talking about Israel.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Once again, a small nation, under 10 million people, and so they know they have to rely upon their wit, their strategy, and even in Bible times, there's so many times in the Bible where they would dig ditches and things like that and cover them up, and then the enemy would come and the ditches would take them out. So it wasn't a man against man. It was like they planned ahead. They used these different things, ambushes and things like that.
Outwitting somebody.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
there was also a fight where the Lord called, it was about 300 men.
Gideon, yeah,
Yeah, Gideon to fight thousands.
120,000.
And said they're saying, how are we going to win this war? How are we going to do this? Lord, I got you.
I want to see that battle. I think there's a movie on that, isn't there? How there must have been.
Let me think.
Yeah.
Well, there was 300, but that was the Spartans.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
That
right. I
was-
got it mixed
Yeah.
up. I got it mixed up.
but it was like an army of thousands when God blessed them. So it's amazing. I know the whole thing about Israel right now is a lot of people point to, is this the prophetic completion of a sense of the way that the world's going to start coming to an end? I've got people in my congregation asking me, it's getting close, brother. It's getting
Sure.
close. And
Sure.
I would say, yeah, every day it's getting closer.
Sure.
I don't know the time, the hour, the date, the year, but I would say, yes, it's getting closer.
It's
I have-
24 hours closer than it was yesterday.
That's right.
I know that much.
That's right. And so I could see the signs and what the Bible says prophetically, and I don't see a whole lot of prophecies, and I've read this a lot. A lot of pastors would contend that all the prophecies have basically been
Fulfilled?
completed, fulfilled. So yeah, it's getting pretty close.
You've been to the Holy Land, haven't you?
A couple times.
Iran is bombing the places where Jesus walked.
Oh, yes.
Was Jesus ever in? I mean, because I don't know the map the way you do.
Tel Aviv?
Tel Aviv.
Yes.
Jesus walked in Tel Aviv.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Gosh, I would. You would hate to see any of the
The mosque, the dome,
Yeah,
the Wailing Wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, the temple.
the Garden of Gethsemane, and
Sure.
anything like that where Jesus was praying the night before he was crucified. Guys, you don't want to see any of that stuff destroyed.
Correct. But war is war. And I don't know if God, definitely it's not going to be destroyed, because in prophecy it says that when Jesus Christ returns, he'll come through that eastern gate. And so that's there. So I know that he's going to have to walk through that gate. So I don't know how it all works, but that's not going to be destroyed.
So he's going to make his appearance in Israel.
Yes, Jesus Christ will, yes. Mm-hmm. He comes to redeem his people.
Isn't that interesting? I saw a video where they were talking about how the gate that it's been built.
Right.
And this is the gate supposedly Jesus coming through. So
No kidding. I didn't know this.
yeah.
There's an actual gate, a physical gate somewhere.
A physical gate. Yeah.
And Jesus will he be like a Superman, a huge guy, like 500 feet tall, or does he come in like this 6'2"?
I'm not sure he's 6'2", but I know he has black hair and is
Right,
curly.
yeah.
I know he's olive skin.
Yeah.
But no, he comes and he says, "I'll come through that gate." And the very city of Jerusalem, the old city, has 4 walls, 12 different gates, and so they're all named in the Bible. And he prophesied they'll come through that gate. So,
riding on horses, coming down.
no doubt about it.
Yeah.
How is it going to end? Is Iran going to go down? What's your prediction here? I kind of think they're doomed.
Iran is not going to defeat Israel.
Yeah.
And again, it's not the Iranian people.
No, it's not.
It's not. It's the regime inside of that.
Right.
It's kind of like when a mob ran Chicago. Chicagoans were great people. They were fun. They enjoyed baseball and all the other stuff. But the mob, boy, they ran that town. So it's like, get rid of the mob then, and we'll be okay. So I believe a lot of Iranians would like to see this force, this inner force, taken out. And I think they'd be, hey, we're okay to be friends and neighbors with Israel. We're okay with that stuff.
I've read that. I've read where some of our political leaders have said the best thing that could happen is that people would rise up and overthrow the current regime.
Correct.
And I think that's what they're trying for.
But should the United States be involved in this? Just kind of stay off to the side? I don't think we want to get our feet too deep into this, do we?
I know it's difficult, but I do know we have thousands and thousands of Americans living in Israel. I also know we have a lot of assets in Israel. We have bases, army bases, military bases in Israel. So we have every right to protect our people. Just like Afghanistan, we're so mad because we didn't get them out in time. Well, the same thing happens to Israel, and Iran is bombing them all. It's our responsibility to take care of our people. I think we have every right to do that, and we will do that. There's no doubt in my mind President Trump will not take an order to say we're going to take care of our people.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I would keep referring this to the book of Revelation. Right, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, Gog and Magog, and towards the end times, they believe that that's Iran and Russia, or Soviet Union, or
Magog.
What do they call themselves now? Yeah,
I look at the end times discussion. I just don't see where the United States falls into this. We're not really involved in the Bible, are we?
Well, we're involved, but not to the place that let me say it this way. It doesn't show us as a dominant force. And if you look at what's going on in America today, the anti-ICE, the rebellion on the campuses and things like that, we are a very divided nation. If that gets more escalated in the Middle East, I don't know exactly how much of a powerful trying to hold back how to do something. I don't know.
Yeah, we're not really. I think God says, United States, we're gonna keep you out of this thing. Maybe that would be the best thing for all of us.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We're
gonna take a break. On that, we're gonna step aside, continue our discussion. We're gonna talk about
the Christian music industry.
Christian music industry got kind of a black eye here, didn't it?
Several black eyes lately. Yeah.
Okay. We'll talk about that when we return.
Hey, welcome back to Rebel Religion News. I almost said Christian News coming to you live. But yeah, we were talking earlier off camera and off podcast about Christian music, and today, here's the big thing that happened. There's this gentleman named Michael Tait. Now, he's been very well known in the Christian music industry since the early 90s. He was one of the singers of this group called DC Talk, Disciples of Christ is basically what it meant. And they had this breakthrough album in Christian music. It's called Jesus Freak. Several hits. They crossed over into mainstream. People were saying, now this is the first Christian group that sounds like real music. It wasn't bland. It wasn't, no offense to these people, but Amy Grant, Evie, Andre Crouch. It sounded like U2, sounded like Red Hot Chili Peppers. Okay. I mean, this band was great. And they broke open the music industry. Now, one of the singers is Michael Tait.
And Michael Tait, recently, this is him quoting now, recent reports of my reckless and destructive behavior, including drug and alcohol abuse and sexual activity, are sadly largely true, he wrote. For some 2 decades, I used and abused cocaine, consumed far too much alcohol, and at times touched men in an unwanted, sensual way. I am ashamed of my life choices and actions and make no excuses for them. I will simply call it what God calls it, sin.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, what he did was wrong. The way he's handled it since then was probably the way to handle it, isn't it? Just acknowledge your sin and confess?
Yeah, that's the first time I've heard the article, but what else can a man do? He tells what happened. He got caught up in this stuff. He did wrong. He knows it's wrong, and he's seeking to better his own life. So it sounds as he has a repentant heart, knowing. But I like that he called it wrong also. Right. Wasn't just an alternative lifestyle. This is a music group. We do this, and now it's okay. But he said, I did wrong. I did wrong. And it's too bad. It's too bad when you have a Christian person who we look to as being a good person, not living that good life. It kind of hurts us. But may I help everyone that's listening? It happens in every sector of the field we live in the world. In businesses, you go to any business, any ball team, any school, any college, and we have the same type of happening there. It just hurts us when it's the Christian or the church realm. I think that's a little more difficult to take.
Yeah, see, here's where the controversy is at. The controversy is that when DC Talk broke up, and the other members were Kevin Mack and Toby Mack, that Michael Tait went to become the lead singer of another popular Christian group called the Newsboys. And he's been with them for, he retired in January amid the scandal, but he was with them for 20 years. Now, here's the scandal. Here's where it hurts the Christian music industry. He's saying, everybody around him saying, we had no idea. His bandmates, 4 bandmates, were going, well, we had no idea. We've heard rumors about it, but when we approached him, he said, no, that's not me, guys, I didn't do it. So we believed him. And so the critique that's coming out is this just another case of somebody doing wrongdoing, and they sweep it under the rug because, well, we don't want to hurt the band and the sales and the concerts. This guy does, Michael Tait and Newsboys, up until January, hundreds of concerts every year, 200-300 concerts, and leading worship and singing praises and godly music. And so they're saying, how can nobody know this? Was it really a secret life that nobody knew about?
Well, I think obviously somebody knew about it because that's
so
why it was
too.
released. Otherwise, we wouldn't know about it because he's not going to confess it by himself.
Well,
he's not going to go and say, boy, I'm going to confess everything and let the whole world know.
Wouldn't that be great? A confession without getting caught. Wouldn't that be great? But the reason why he got caught is because 2 young men came forward and said, hey, this happened when we were just, young.
No, gotcha.
So that's what I'm saying. Would it be great if he would have came out without being caught?
Sure.
Or people coming up forward going, I've been abused?
Would you do that?
Have I done that? Well, yes, I have. Have I not done that? No, I haven't.
All right. Okay. Well, I want to touch on something real quick. Since we have a Baptist pastor here, the Southern Baptist Convention adopted a lengthy resolution this week that in part calls for the overturning of the Supreme Court's 2015 gay marriage ruling. Did you hear about this?
No.
The text of the resolution, titled On Restoring Moral Clarity Through God's Design for Gender, Marriage, and the Family, calls for the overturning of laws and court rulings, including Obergefell versus Hodges, that defy God's design for marriage and family. That's quite a bold statement by the largest Protestant denomination in the world.
So explain that to me. I want to make sure I hear the word. They're saying we ought to disregard God's guidelines for marriage?
Well, there was a court decision in 2015 by the Supreme Court that said that gay marriage is permissible.
Right.
And what the Southern Baptists, they've adopted a resolution that calls for overturning the Supreme Court gay marriage ruling.
Okay, in other words, to say that gay marriage is not permissible.
Is not permissible.
Yeah, well,
should not be recognized as a legitimate form of marriage.
Well, this is not marriage. And again, we can say the Southern Baptists or maybe this group or liberals or whatever. It doesn't really make any difference what any group of people say. The Bible says what marriage is. God made man, God made woman, and then at the same time, God made marriage, and that's what it is. Can 2 men live together? They can, but that's not marriage. Marriage is a union between a man and a woman. Can 2 women live together and call themselves married? They can, but it's not what God says marriage is, and you're not going to change God's mind on that ever, ever. So you can go ahead and get into your relationships of even that of what they call with children and pedophiling and try to justify all this stuff, even bestiality. My dog is my mate.
Yeah.
You can say what you want, but that's not marriage. Marriage is what God made, and God is specific about it, and God will always hold to that truth.
The 10-year anniversary of the High Court's controversial landmark, it was a 5-4 vote. The 10-year anniversary is later this month in June. The Constitution does not permit the state to bar same-sex couples from marriage on the same terms as accorded to couples of the opposite sex. That's what the opinion wrote. And in a nutshell, the Protestant, the Southern Baptists are saying they're encouraging to have that rescinded.
Well,
Overturned.
Well,
sure.
There was a movement by Christian leaders when gay marriage started coming really to the forefront, saying, okay, you want to do whatever you want. Okay, fine, that's your choice. But like what you said, Pastor, marriage is the God design that says marriage is a husband and a wife. So just call it something else, but don't call it marriage. And when two women get together,
Right.
union, don't say wife and wife. Come up with your own terms. Don't use God terms, because what a sin that is.
Correct.
So call it something else. But of course they didn't, because they want to disrupt and try to defile what God does.
True.
So that's where it's at.
It's our culture today. Literally, it's an attack against God himself, bottom line.
Oh, yeah.
In the very first couple of chapters of the very Bible, he made man and woman. And now they're trying to say, well, man's not really a man. He can be a woman, and woman's not really a woman. She can be a man. Then the very union of man and woman is marriage, so they're attacking that. So when you attack the very fundamentals of what started this whole world, this whole earth we live on, they're trying to say God is not important. God is not important.
By the way, for those Christians who worry that maybe this is getting to be very prevalent in our society, it's really not.
No.
Only, I think the latest Pew Research Center poll came out to 3.4% or so of people consider themselves either gay or lesbian. Well, 3%, that's a very small number.
Yes, matter of fact, I've been following that statistic for probably...
And it hasn't changed.
10 plus years, and I will tell you, no, it has not changed. It's always been between, depending on what poll it is, 2 and 4%, always. What has changed is the support for it.
Well, the voice, yes, no
The
doubt.
the voice has changed. There's more people in favor of that are considered straight, but that's because the Bible says, narrow is that road.
Right.
And then wide is that road. Narrow is the road to heaven, basically, and wide is the road to destruction. So you have a lot more people speaking out against God. Like you said, it's
No
an
doubt.
attack against God. Here's an interesting thing. You can correct me if I'm not right on this completely, but Satan was not built in the image of God. We were. So he's very jealous of that. So what better way to go after God than to destroy the very image that God made? The man and the woman that God made. I'm going to go after that. That's a great strategy. I'm going to destroy the image of God so people are distorted. They don't know the truth about what a man is and what a woman is, because I was not made in the image of God. I'm pretty jealous. What do you think about that?
I think there's a lot of reality to that.
Yes.
Very true. And it's too bad, because it's so good what God created. Husband and wife, a man and woman, a marriage. If you would go back maybe to the 1940s or 50s, and they have something called family dad, and there you have mom, then you had a couple of kids. And honestly, a dad was kind of guy that came home from work and he loved on his kids. Mom had the house already and meal already made, and it was just like a joyous occasion. Norman Rockwell.
Yeah.
That doesn't even exist today.
Well, it does in your house, I think.
Well, it does. I'm just saying.
House too.
But I'm just saying, people do not look at it and say, "Wow, look at that," and yet they long for that. They really
They
do
do
long
too.
for that. There's no doubt about it. As I mentioned, I got 12 grandkids here this weekend, 3 of my own children at home. But if you could only see the joy and the laughter and the goodness. We all went to church last night, and happened to be the night we took the Lord's Supper. So there's a little bit of working to take the wafer and things like that. And I got these little ones around me. But I thought, they're learning something about God and how God loved them and gave his own self for them. And man, it's a great conversation. So, boy, if you could only see how good God's creation of relationship really works, you would never want anything else.
I know there's a lot of people that come up with their own plans, that they have their own, they identify, the world picks their own roles. But I say this all the time. There's no better plan that we can come up with.
No doubt.
That's better than the plan
Yep.
that God has for us, individually and collectively.
Pastor Tim Rule, Pleasant Valley Baptist Church, as always, thank you so much.
Love being here.
All right. Service times 9, 10, and 11 o'clock Sunday at Pleasant Valley Baptist Church over on Garner Lane. Thank both of you. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Take good care, everybody. We'll talk to you next time here on Rebel Religion in the News, here on KKXX Christian Talk Radio. So long, everybody.